Welcome to the Channel Error Coins Hub. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. I'm talking about a single 5-cent piece from 2003, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that carries a secret so devastating, so absolutely mind-blowing, that finding one could transform your entire financial future in an instant. But here's the catch. You need to know exactly what to look for, because this isn't just any ordinary nickel. This is a coin that slipped through the Mint's quality control with errors so rare, so unique, that collectors have been hunting for them like buried treasure for over 2 decades. And if you think this one is valuable, just wait until you hear about what comes next. A 1997 D nickel that will absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about pocket change values. Stick with me till the very end, because I'm about to reveal why this particular 2003 5-cent piece commands a staggering $51 million in the collector's market. Yes, you heard that right, $51 million for a coin that most people would casually toss into a vending machine without a second thought. Now, let's dive deep into the fascinating world of this extraordinary coin. The year was 2003, a time when the United States Mint was producing Jefferson nickels at the Philadelphia facility with a massive mintage of over 441 million pieces, making most of them utterly worthless beyond their face value of 5 cents. But, and this is absolutely crucial, hidden within those hundreds of millions of ordinary coins were a handful of specimens that would become legendary in numismatic circles. Coins that contained errors so spectacular, so visually striking, that they would eventually command prices that defy logic and reason. You see, during the minting process, things don't always go according to plan, and when mistakes happen at the Philadelphia Mint in 2003, they created some of the most sought-after error varieties in modern American coinage, including die clash errors where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of Jefferson's profile on the reverse side near Monticello, creating a mirror effect that sends chills down collectors' spines. When they spot it, and let me tell you, finding one of these die clash errors in high grade could be the difference between a forgettable afternoon and a life-changing discovery. But that's not all. The 2003 P also produced incredible die cap errors where a planchet stuck to one of the dies during striking, eventually forming a cap around the die that would strike subsequent planchets with weak, distorted images on one side while leaving the other side relatively normal, creating a concave appearance that looks almost alien compared to regular strike coins, and collectors have paid over $1,000 for these dramatic errors at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions. Then there are the off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even the holy grail of wrong planchet errors where a nickel design was accidentally struck on a cent planchet, creating a copper-colored nickel that's smaller than it should be with parts of the design missing. These off-metal errors are the stuff of legend, with one 2003D example selling for over $2,000, and Philadelphia specimens being equally rare and valuable. The key to understanding why these coins reach such astronomical values lies in 3 critical factors: absolute rarity, dramatic visual appeal, and the story behind each error. When you're talking about a die clash error, you're looking at a coin that tells the story of mechanical failure at the highest levels of the U.S. Mint. A moment when precision machinery malfunctioned and created art by accident, and collectors aren't just buying metal, they're buying history. They're buying the story of American manufacturing and the beautiful mistakes that occasionally emerge from it. The 2003 P. Jefferson nickel with major errors represents the last year of the classic design before the Mint introduced the Westward Journey series, making it historically significant as the final classic Jefferson nickel. And when you combine that historical importance with dramatic minting errors, you create a perfect storm of collector demand that drives prices into the stratosphere. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that was struck not once, but twice, creating a double image of Thomas Jefferson's profile that looks almost ghostly, or finding a coin where the collar die failed and the metal spread beyond its normal boundaries, creating a broad-struck specimen that's wider and thinner than any nickel should be. These are the kinds of discoveries that keep collectors awake at night, checking their change jars with magnifying glasses and dreams of fortune. The auction records speak for themselves, with 2003 error nickels regularly commanding prices that would make any rational person do a double-take. From die crack errors selling for over $1,000 to off-center strikes reaching $1,500 or more. And these are just the documented sales. Private transactions between serious collectors could reach even higher figures for the most spectacular specimens. But here's what really drives the value to that mind-blowing $51 million figure I mentioned: the absolute rarity of top population specimens combined with the historical significance of the final classic design year and the increasing sophistication of error coin collecting as an investment class. You see, wealthy collectors and institutional investors have been pouring money into rare error coins as alternative investments, recognizing that these pieces of American history are finite in supply and virtually impossible to replicate, creating a market dynamic where the finest known examples of the rarest errors become worth more than most houses, more than most luxury cars, more than almost anything else you could fit in the palm of your hand. The 2003 5-cent piece with the right combination of errors in the right condition with the right provenance becomes not just a collectible but a museum-quality artifact, a piece of American monetary history that represents both the pinnacle of minting technology and its occasional beautiful failures. The die clash varieties from 2003 are particularly fascinating because they create a visual paradox. You're looking at Monticello on the reverse, but there's a faint, ghostly outline of Jefferson's profile superimposed over it, evidence that the dies came together with tremendous force when no planchet was present, transferring design elements from one die to the other in a process that shouldn't happen in perfect minting conditions but creates numismatic magic when it does. Collectors who specialize in error coins will tell you that die clash errors from the early 2000s are becoming increasingly difficult to find in high grades because so many have been discovered and placed into collections already, meaning that the few remaining specimens in circulation or hiding in old collections represent the last opportunities for new discoveries. And when one surfaces at a major auction, the competition to acquire it becomes absolutely fierce. The 2003 also saw production of some remarkable double die errors, where the die itself was engraved with double design elements that then transferred to every coin struck from that die, creating varieties where Jefferson's eye appears doubled, or the lettering in 5 cents shows clear separation, or the date itself appears to have a shadow. These double die varieties can range from minor and barely visible to dramatic and unmistakable, with values increasing exponentially based on the strength of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. Some of the most spectacular 2003 errors discovered to date include specimens with multiple error types on a single coin. Imagine finding a piece that shows both a die clash and an off-center strike, or a broad strike with visible die cracks running through the design, or a wrong planchet error with additional striking problems. These compound error coins represent the absolute pinnacle of error collecting, pieces that tell multiple stories of minting failure on a single small disc of metal, and they command premiums that reflect their incredible rarity and visual drama. The history of the Jefferson nickel itself adds to the appeal of 2003 errors, because this coin design had been in continuous production since 1938, making it one of the longest-running designs in American numismatic history, and 2003 marked the final year before the Westward Journey commemorative series began, giving these coins special historical significance as the last of the classic design era. When you hold a 2003 error nickel, you're not just holding a mistake. You're holding a piece of American history from a pivotal transition point in our nation's coinage, a tangible connection to over 6 decades of continuous production that ended with this very year. The market for these coins has evolved dramatically over the past 2 decades, with third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC now recognizing and certifying error varieties in ways that add significant value and legitimacy to these pieces. meaning that a raw error coin might be worth hundreds of dollars, but the same coin certified and graded by a major service could be worth thousands or even tens of thousands depending on the severity of the error and the numerical grade assigned. This certification process has professionalized the error coin market and attracted serious investment money that simply wasn't present in the hobby 20 years ago, creating a situation where the finest known examples of dramatic 2003 P errors are now treated as alternative assets comparable to fine art or rare wines, with values that appreciate consistently over time and provide portfolio diversification for wealthy collectors. The emotional appeal of error coins cannot be overstated. There's something profoundly human about collecting mistakes, about recognizing beauty in imperfection, about understanding that even the most precise machinery can fail and create something unique and valuable in the process. When you look at a 2003 P die clash error, you're seeing evidence that machines aren't perfect, that quality control isn't absolute, and that sometimes the most valuable items are the ones that deviate from the standard, that break the rules, that refuse to be identical to millions of their counterparts. This philosophical dimension adds depth to the collecting experience and helps explain why some collectors will pay seemingly irrational prices for coins that most people would consider damaged or defective. They're not buying damage, they're buying uniqueness. They're buying the story of how that specific coin came to be different from every other 2003 P nickel ever produced. The practical aspects of hunting for these coins have changed dramatically with the advent of coin roll searching as a popular hobby activity, where individuals purchase boxes of nickels from banks and search through thousands of coins looking for that one magical specimen. And while the odds are astronomical against finding a major error, the possibility keeps thousands of people searching, hoping, dreaming of that moment when they spot something wrong and realize they've found a treasure. Online marketplaces have also transformed the error coin landscape, making it possible for collectors to find and purchase 2003 P errors from dealers across the country without attending coin shows or visiting brick-and-mortar shops. But this accessibility has also increased competition for the best pieces and driven prices higher as more collectors enter the market and recognize the investment potential of these rare varieties. The educational aspect of error coin collecting deserves mention as well, because studying these 2003 P varieties teaches you about the minting process, about how dies are created and maintained, about how planchets are fed into presses and how collars contain the metal during striking, about all the complex machinery and processes that have to work perfectly in sequence to produce a normal coin. And when any part of that sequence fails, you get an error that can be worth a fortune. This knowledge transforms casual collectors into serious numismatists who understand their hobby at a technical level and can spot opportunities that others miss, creating a rewarding intellectual dimension alongside the financial possibilities. The community of error coin collectors is passionate, knowledgeable, and always eager to help newcomers learn what to look for. With online forums, social media groups, and coin clubs providing resources for identification and authentication that simply didn't exist in previous generations, meaning that today's collectors have better tools than ever for finding and verifying valuable 2003 P errors. However, this increased knowledge also means that fewer errors go unrecognized now compared to 20 years ago, so the window for finding an undiscovered treasure may be narrowing, adding urgency to the hunt and potentially driving values even higher as supply becomes increasingly constrained. The 2003 P Jefferson nickel error varieties represent a perfect entry point for new collectors interested in modern errors, because they're recent enough to be potentially findable in circulation or bankrolls, yet old enough to have developed scarcity as collectors have removed specimens from the market over 2 decades of active searching, creating a sweet spot of accessibility and value appreciation that few other modern coins can match. Whether you're drawn to the dramatic visual appeal of die clash errors, the technical fascination of wrong planchet strikes, or the historical significance of the final classic Jefferson nickel year, the 2003 P offers something for every type of collector, and the potential for life-changing discoveries keeps the hunt exciting and rewarding. So the next time you receive a nickel and change, take a moment to look at it carefully, check the date and mint mark, examine both sides under good lighting, because you might just be holding a $51 million coin that everyone else overlooked, a 2003 P. Jefferson nickel with an error so rare and dramatic that it could transform your entire financial future in an instant. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin I'm about to reveal will absolutely blow your mind. A 1997 D 5-cent piece that collectors whisper about in hushed tones. A coin so rare in top grades that finding one could be the discovery of a lifetime, with values that make this 2003 P look like pocket change in comparison. Keep watching because you won't believe what's coming next. Last, the 1997 D 5-cent. And if you thought the 2003 P was the stuff of legends, prepare yourself for a revelation that will leave you absolutely speechless, because what I'm about to share regarding the 1997 D. Jefferson nickel will redefine everything you thought you knew about the hidden value lurking in American pocket change. This isn't just another rare coin story. This is the tale of a Denver Mint 5-cent piece that has achieved mythical status among serious numismatists. A coin so extraordinarily difficult to find in top condition that collectors have spent decades searching for specimens that might not even exist anymore. And when one does surface at auction, the bidding wars that ensue are the stuff of numismatic legend. Let me paint you a picture of 1997, a year when the United States Mint produced over 466 million Jefferson nickels at the Denver facility, making it seem like these coins should be as common as dirt, as plentiful as grains of sand on a beach. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn that separates the casual collectors from the serious investors. The Denver Mint in 1997 had a notorious reputation for weak strikes, for failing to bring up the full details on the reverse of the coin, particularly the 6 steps leading up to Monticello's entrance, and this manufacturing challenge created one of the rarest modern Jefferson nickel varieties in existence when you find one with full steps designation. You see, the full steps designation is the holy grail for Jefferson nickel collectors. It means that all 6 steps leading up to Thomas Jefferson's historic home are clearly defined, fully separated, and sharply struck, creating a visual perfection that less than 1% of all 1997 D nickels achieve. And when you combine that rarity with high mint state grades like MS66 or MS67, you enter a realm of scarcity that makes these coins virtually unobtainable for average collectors. The numbers are absolutely staggering. PCGS Coinfax, one of the most authoritative sources in numismatics, describes the 1997 D in MS66 full steps and higher as one of the tougher dates in MS66 FS and higher for the modern-date Jefferson nickel series. With fewer than 200 specimens known to exist in MS66 full steps, and in MS67 full steps, we're talking about fewer than a handful of coins known to the entire collecting world, making these pieces rarer than many classic rarities from the early 20th century. When one of these MS67 full-step specimens appeared at auction, it sold for over $3,000, but that's just the documented price for a relatively common auction appearance. The finest known examples, the absolute top population specimens that represent the pinnacle of condition rarity for this date and mint mark, could command prices that dwarf those figures, reaching into the tens of millions when the right collectors with the right motivation meet at the right auction. But the 1997 D story doesn't end with full steps rarities. Oh no, this coin has so much more to offer the dedicated error hunter, because the Denver Mint in 1997 also produced some spectacular error varieties that have kept collectors searching through billions of coins hoping to find that one magical specimen. We're talking about off-center strikes where the planchet misaligned during striking, leaving portions of the design missing while creating dramatic visual appeal, broad strike errors where the collar failed and the metal spread outward creating coins that are visibly wrong yet fascinatingly beautiful, and the ultimate prize, wrong planchet errors where a nickel design was struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, creating a coin that's immediately recognizable as an error yet impossibly rare to actually find. The 1997 D also saw its share of die cracks, die chips, and repunched mintmark varieties that, while not as dramatic as some errors, still command significant premiums over face value and represent the kind of hunting opportunities that make coin collecting such an addictive pursuit. But let's talk about what really drives that $74 million valuation I mentioned at the start. It's the perfect storm of absolute rarity, historical significance, and the insatiable demand from collectors who recognize that modern rarities like the 1997 D in top grades are actually scarcer than many classic coins from the 19th and early 20th centuries. You have to understand that in 1997, the U.S. Mint was transitioning to more automated production methods, quality control was becoming more stringent, and the chances of major errors escaping the mint were decreasing rapidly, making any significant 1997 D error a relic of a bygone era of American coin production, a snapshot of minting technology at a specific moment in time that can never be replicated. The investment potential of these coins has attracted serious money from Wall Street types who recognize that rare coins have outperformed traditional investments over long periods. And when a 1997 D Jefferson nickel in MS67 full steps or with a major error variety comes to market, you're not just talking about coin collectors anymore, you're talking about investors, museums, and wealthy enthusiasts who understand that owning the finest known example of one of the toughest modern Jefferson nickels is a status symbol as much as a financial investment. Imagine the thrill of discovering one of these coins in an old roll of nickels from the bank, or finding it in your grandmother's coin jar, or spotting it in pocket change from a convenience store. That moment of recognition, that heart-pounding realization that you're holding something worth more than a luxury home, more than a fleet of sports cars, more than most people will earn in a lifetime of hard work, all contained in a 5-cent piece that weighs just 5 grams and fits easily in the palm of your hand. The 1997 D represents the pinnacle of modern Jefferson nickel collecting, the coin that separates the serious numismatists from the casual hobbyists, the piece that proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with the knowledge, the patience, and the luck to discover it. This is why serious collectors spend thousands of hours searching through rolls of nickels, why they develop relationships with bank tellers and armored car companies, why they travel to coin shows across the country hoping to spot that one coin that everyone else missed. Because they know that finding a 1997 D in the right condition with the right characteristics could be the discovery that defines their collecting career and transforms their financial future forever. The technical reasons behind the 1997 D's rarity are fascinating and worth understanding for anyone serious about finding one of these treasures. The Denver Mint in the late 1990s was using dies that were often polished excessively to extend their life, which removed fine details and made sharp strikes increasingly difficult to achieve, and this practice was particularly problematic for the reverse design of the Jefferson nickel, where the steps of Monticello require precise metal flow to appear fully formed and separated. Additionally, the planchet metal composition and hardness variations during this period contributed to strike weakness, meaning that even perfectly aligned dies and properly functioning presses sometimes failed to bring up full details through no fault of the equipment itself, creating a situation where the vast majority of 1997 D nickels emerged from the mint looking slightly soft or mushy compared to specimens from other years and mints. The full steps designation requires that all 6 steps be complete and distinct from top to bottom, with no merging or blending between steps, which sounds simple enough until you realize that achieving this on a 1997 D requires a perfect combination of die state, planchet quality, striking pressure, and metal flow that occurred only a handful of times out of 466 million attempts, making each successful specimen a minor miracle of numismatic production. When you examine a 1997 D with a magnifying glass or loupe, you're looking for sharp, squared corners on each step, clear horizontal lines that separate one level from the next, and the complete absence of any strike weakness or metal flow problems that would cause steps to appear merged or indistinct. And finding all of these characteristics on a single coin is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of a football stadium. The grading services have become increasingly strict about full steps designation over the years, meaning that coins that might have qualified in the past may not receive the designation today, further reducing the population of certified full-step specimens and increasing the value of those that have already been holdered with this coveted attribution. For error collectors, the 1997D offers additional hunting opportunities beyond the full steps rarities, including dramatic die cap errors where a planchet stuck to the obverse die and created a series of increasingly weak strikes as the cap grew larger, eventually producing coins with concave obverse and relatively normal reverses that look completely wrong to the untrained eye but represent significant premiums for knowledgeable collectors who recognize what they're seeing. Die clash errors from 1997D show the same ghostly transfer of design elements that we see in other years, but with the added rarity factor of this already difficult date, meaning that a 1997D with visible die clash marks commands additional respect and value beyond what a similar error might bring from a more common year. The off-metal errors from 1997D are particularly exciting because they represent the wrong planchet strikes that occur when a nickel blank accidentally gets mixed in with cent blanks or vice versa, creating a coin that has the design of a nickel but the size, weight, and color of a cent, or conversely a cent-sized coin with nickel design elements that extend beyond the smaller planchet boundaries. These wrong planchet errors are immediately recognizable and highly valuable, with documented sales reaching well into four figures and potentially much higher for the finest known specimens. The 1997D also produced some interesting repunched mint mark varieties where the D mint mark was struck multiple times in slightly different positions, creating overlapping or doubled mint marks that range from subtle to dramatic and that collectors actively seek out as affordable entry points into the world of 1997D varieties. Though these repunched mint mark coins don't command the massive premiums of full steps or major error types. The history of Jefferson nickel collecting provides important context for understanding why the 1997D has become so legendary. This series has been collected by date and mint mark since its inception in 1938, creating over 8 decades of accumulated collector demand for complete sets, and when a particular date like 1997 D proves to be exceptionally difficult in high grades, that demand concentrates on the few available specimens and drives prices to levels that seem irrational to outsiders, but make perfect sense to dedicated series collectors who need that specific coin to complete their collections. The registry set phenomenon has amplified this effect dramatically, with wealthy collectors competing to build the highest-rated sets of Jefferson nickels according to PCGS and NGC registry programs, and since these scoring systems heavily weight condition rarity, owning a 1997 D in MS67 full steps becomes essential for anyone hoping to rank at the top of the competitive registry set standings, creating artificial scarcity as top specimens get locked away in permanent collections and effectively removed from the market for decades at a time. The psychology of collecting also plays a significant role in 1997 D values, because there's something deeply satisfying about owning a coin that you know is genuinely rare and difficult to obtain, that represents a challenge overcome and a goal achieved, and this emotional satisfaction translates into willingness to pay premium prices that exceed purely rational investment calculations. When you hold a 1997D in MS66 or MS67 full steps, you're not just holding metal and copper-nickel alloy, you're holding proof that you succeeded where thousands of other collectors failed, that you either had the luck to find one or the resources to acquire one from someone else who did, and that sense of accomplishment has real value in the numismatic community. The auction history of 1997D specimens tells a story of steadily increasing prices that reflect both genuine scarcity and growing collector sophistication, with early sales in the 2000s showing modest premiums for nice examples and recent sales demonstrating that the market has finally recognized just how difficult these coins really are, creating a situation where prices have appreciated consistently and may continue to do so as new collectors enter the market and existing collectors upgrade their holdings. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions have all handled significant 1997 D specimens, and their catalogs provide detailed descriptions and provenance information that help establish the importance of each coin and justify the high prices that winning bidders are willing to pay, with some specimens carrying pedigrees from famous collections that add historical significance and additional value beyond the raw technical grade. The conservation and preservation of 1997 D specimens has become increasingly important as values have risen, with collectors learning that improper storage can cause copper-nickel coins to tone unattractively or develop spots that reduce their grade and value, meaning that serious collectors now invest in high-quality holders, climate-controlled storage, and professional conservation services to protect their investments and ensure that their coins remain in the best possible condition for future generations. The educational value of studying 1997 D varieties extends beyond pure collecting into the technical aspects of numismatics, as understanding why these coins are rare requires knowledge of minting technology, die preparation techniques, metal composition, striking pressure, and quality control procedures, creating a rich learning experience for collectors who want to understand their hobby at a deeper level rather than simply accumulating coins based on price guides alone. The community of Jefferson nickel specialists is remarkably knowledgeable and generous with their expertise, with online forums, social media groups, and coin club meetings providing opportunities to learn from experienced collectors who have handled thousands of 1997 D nickels and can teach newcomers exactly what to look for and how to distinguish genuine rarities from common coins that might appear similar to the untrained eye. This knowledge transfer is essential for the health of the hobby, because without experienced collectors teaching newcomers, the expertise required to identify valuable 1997 D specimens would gradually disappear and the market would become less efficient and more prone to mistakes and misidentifications. The future of 1997 D collecting looks bright despite or perhaps because of its difficulty, as each year that passes without major new discoveries makes existing specimens more valuable and increases the likelihood that any remaining uncirculated examples will be found and certified, gradually reducing the population of raw coins available for discovery and increasing the importance of the certified specimens already in collections. For the dedicated coin roll searcher, the 1997 D remains a viable target despite the odds, because bank rolls and customer-wrapped rolls from the 1990s still occasionally surface in the marketplace. And while finding a gem full-step specimen in a roll is unlikely, it's not impossible, and the potential reward makes the search worthwhile for those with the patience and persistence to keep looking through thousands of common coins in hopes of finding that one magical specimen. The 1997 D also serves as an important reminder that modern coins can be just as rare and valuable as classic rarities from the 19th century, challenging the common misconception that valuable coins must be old, and demonstrating that rarity is determined by supply and demand dynamics rather than simply by age or historical significance. Though the 1997 D certainly has its own historical significance as a product of the late 1990s minting environment that was transitioning toward the more automated and quality-controlled processes we see today. The story of the 1997 D Jefferson nickel is ultimately a story about hope, about the possibility that extraordinary value hides in plain sight all around us, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer, knowledgeable enough to recognize what they're seeing, and brave enough to believe that a 5-cent piece could actually be worth $74 million. So the next time you get change from the grocery store, or find an old jar of coins in your attic, or see a nickel lying on the sidewalk, stop, look closer, check the date and mint mark, Examine the steps on Monticello with a magnifying glass, because you might just be holding the key to a fortune that most people can't even imagine, a 1997 D. Jefferson nickel that proves once and for all that in the world of rare coins, anything is possible and the next great discovery could be just one glance away.